Hey man,
Sid, how you doing?
good man. I missed you last week, so how you been?
Yeah, being okay. Bit of a busy week. Just relaxing.
Okay, all right, cool man. Let's get down to the cricket. Yeah man, what were your quick thoughts on that Australia versus New Zealand series? I know Australia won 3-0, but when you look at that series as a whole, I felt that it was an opportunity gone for New Zealand because the margins were quite close. Like if I look at the first ODI, Australia won by 2 wickets. The second one was dominating 113 runs, and then the last one was by 25 runs. I mean, if you look at the second ODI especially, New Zealand restricted Australia to 195 for 9, and to be bowled for 82 is just pathetic. It's actually unforgivable because I think that, yeah, I think it's all a mental block, I think, for New Zealand when it comes to Australia. What are your thoughts?
Well, first things first, it was a bowler series. If you look at the scores were not that high, so it definitely was a series for the bowlers. But getting back to New Zealand batting display, yeah, some unforgivable losses there along the way, and some games that they look back and think, they could have easily got over the line. But I agree with you, it's a mental block, and we've seen it in tournaments as well with Australia and New Zealand. Australia seem to have the wood over this team here. This team, I think they're heavily reliant on a guy like Williamson to ride them. If he scores big, they usually win. I'm looking at the rest of the batting lineup. There's too many players that are sort of your anchors, and there's no one to actually really take the attack to the Australians. You need somebody that's going to counter attack, and there's not many counter attacking players in that New Zealand side. There's quite a few anchors. That's a bit disappointing. But yeah, they look back, and I mean, it wasn't viewing. I must admit, it wasn't really good viewing to watch. It wasn't that exciting to watch because I mean, it was kind of a predictable pattern that obviously went along from the first game, which was but the second and third game, kind of, they really petered out there. But I think that second game, they really look back and, that was an unforgivable performance. Not being able to chase down I'd say it's a paltry score in one day international of 195.
Yeah, it's a rubbish score.
Absolutely.
Yeah. To the Asia Cup, I know you were loving it in commas. Yeah, Sri Lanka were the champions. A bit unexpected. We were kind of expecting India and Pakistan final. Well, Pakistan made the final, so good for them. But yeah, I thought Pakistan were going to pitch up for the final. I thought the dress rehearsal was more of them experimenting with players that hadn't played. But damn, they really disappointed me. So congrats to Sri Lanka. Maybe they could surprise in the World Cup. Obviously, they're going to have to go through qualifiers, but I'm sure they'll easily go through that. Confidence must be high.
You got to give the side massive credit. I mean, what's going on back home in Sri Lanka, in political, economic turmoil within the government ranks. As a country on the brink, and this performance is definitely one for the ages. I think Sri Lanka, nobody would have given them much of a chance of even getting to the final in this tournament. So. They've overcome all the odds to get to the final, and then to win it was absolutely amazing. I think they ticked all the boxes in that final. Hey, with the bat, I mean, Chase setting a score of 170 and recovering from 77.5. And, fantastic hitting like Saranga.
Yeah.
And their bowling. Was sensational. I watched a bit of that bowling innings from them, second innings, because I missed the first. But wow, they really had Pakistan on the ropes early. And I think the big concern for Pakistan is Azam. His form is, quite dodgy at the moment. Hey, I mean, he really can't buy a run.
Yeah, he's playing like King Kohli. Yeah, he's playing like he was playing like King Kohli when King Kohli was actually out of form. So he's taking a bit of Kohli's bad form, and now Kohli's taking some of Baba's good form. What an irony.
Mm, Still early days, eh? Still early days. I mean, I wouldn't read too much into it, but still early days. But I mean, he's a fantastic player. I mean, we
Yeah,
know
yeah.
about it. He's a good player, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
of course,
the
class.
best of players go through this. So it's
Of course, yeah, yeah.
it's one of those patches. I'm sure he's going to overcome it
Mm.
because I mean, he's a
Yeah,
quality
pitches in
player. But
Australia. Yeah. Mm.
yeah, having said that, I don't think Pakistan were really convincing in this tournament. Sid. In a lot of games, even though the games that they did win, uh, they weren't really convincing. Because if I look back at the first game, yeah, I mean they lost to India, and then they beat India in the Super Fours. But where I saw a
Yeah,
bit of susceptibility was that game against Afghanistan, when Afghanistan pushed
yeah,
them
yeah, that
so
was dodgy.
far. I
Yeah.
think the one thing with Pakistan, and what I noticed in this tournament, their batting is a bit brittle at the moment.
Hmm.
With the
Hmm.
they quite a few players out of form. The likes of, as you said, Babar and Farkar hasn't been in the runs. Rizwan has
Hmm.
practically carried this team for a lot of
Hmm.
this tournament, and I think obviously his luck ran out in the final. They
Hmm.
will always be behind the run rate. They were always behind the run rate, and I mean Karuna Rantne just led that bowling attack. He bowled so amazingly, but I think everybody chipped in there, especially Hasaranga as well. I mean that was a man of the match performance from him, amazing. So yeah, I mean congrats to Sri Lanka, well deserved, and as I said, this is a win for the ages. This is really an amazing win.
Yeah.
Amazing
Yeah.
by them.
Yeah. I think both. Yeah, I think both countries are going through political and economic trouble, so it's good for those two countries. But yeah, I think the pitches in Australia will probably help Pakistan out. Although Harsha Bogdan does question how they'll face the bouncing ball in Australia, but we'll see. I mean, you never know. Pakistan are one of those teams. If you write them off, they'll play great. So maybe we shouldn't write them off. You'll say Pakistan, one of the favorites, then they disappoint us. I'm just
And
kidding.
remember Pakistan, the very first tournament in Australia in '92, they actually won the World Cup under Imran Khan. So it's not to say that Pakistan, they can play in Australia. So
Of course, of
yeah,
course.
they're not a side you can write off. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. And yes, they are in India's group, but that's another story for another time. Let's get to the series that made you really upset, South Africa and England. My theory is I think SA gave England the advantage the moment they won the toss and they decided to bat first. Fine, I know the rationale behind you wanted to bat first because you wanted to put the two spinners in. But sometimes I look at it like this, right? You just got to judge the condition on the day. You could see the weather was overcast. He did the same mistake as Nasser Hussain. I think I told you this last time we spoke. Remember when Nasser Hussain overthought and then he bowled first and Australia scored 400 runs and the rest is history? Yeah, he should have just bowled first, man. Kept it simple. Then I think England would have probably not handled it. And then I think they would have won the series from that moment, because we had the momentum. Why complicate things? We overcomplicate things, dude. I think teams overcomplicate things. So I think we gave them the series from that moment and then England won the series from there. I can only put it in that way. Not to give England credit, but I think we kind of gave them the head start from there.
I mean, what can I say? I'm not really convinced by the theory, by your theory. I still think England were actually, they were going to bounce back either way because I mean they're playing at home and they play so well at home. But I just want to say something. I mean, this batting lineup has been quite brittle, and I think it came to a point where it was going to get exposed, and unfortunately it got exposed in the second test, and obviously the third test was, I mean, shocking. Honestly, the first innings was really shocking. But I just want to say, if you look at this batting lineup, there's not a lot of experience. There's not a lot of experience. We got to admit that. I don't think any player in that top six really has cemented his spot, and that's including Captain Elgar, because Elgar didn't have his best series. Well, I think, he played superbly against India at home, and he played superbly against Bangladesh. But this series is one series that he'll want to forget with that. I think, if one test 50 in a 3-match series is simply not good enough. So, the theory about batting first, I mean, it's fine. I mean, you can bat first. And at the end of the day, there's a reasoning behind playing a spinner. because obviously you want to make use of that day 4 and day 5 pitch. But if you don't bat well enough, the spinner is not going to come into the game. So, I think this bowling lineup has been carrying this side for a very, very long time. And I just want to say, this Proteas bowling lineup can bowl out any team. They can bowl out any team on their day. It's just the problem with the batting at the moment where, they just can't get it right, and we get disappointed because we expect a lot from this batting lineup. But if you look at that third match, I mean, so many new players coming into the squad, the likes of Ricketts and the likes of something had to give. Something had to give. I mean, I was happy that Markham was dropped. I really was happy because he's been out of form. But unfortunately, Russie's injury probably compounded it a bit because he's that sort of experienced player that you need at this level, and he's that glue in that middle order. But I mean, we can look around for excuses, but the reality is this batting lineup has not delivered for a very, very long time, and I think they really need to look at it.
But these pitches weren't really balanced as well, mainly for the bowlers. I mean, the scores weren't such that you would find it made for exciting viewing, but I don't know. These kind of pitches are not really ones I would really endorse Test cricket with. I think the pitches in Australia and New Zealand.
This is a theory. I mean, you got to go back to playing old-fashioned Test cricket, which means you got to leave more balls than you play. I mean, if there's anything outside off stop, if there's anything on your pads, anything coming straight to you, then you play. I mean, that is the way of playing cricket. That's the way of approaching a Test match innings. I think our better problem with trying to score runs and also being in that defensive mindset. So I think the thinking is a bit at the moment. The thinking is definitely scrambled in terms of batting. A guy like Verreynne was touted as a good replacement for de Kock, but I South Africa were missing a player like de Kock in the series, a guy that could counter attack at number 7. So obviously he's retired now, but as you say, it was a low scoring series, but I mean a 60 or 70 from de Kock at number 7 could completely the game. On its head.
And you also lost Bavuma, so we had a few things going against us there. Yeah,
I mean, look, Bavuma, I mean, we knew that Bavuma was going to be out of the series months ago. So I think the plan was obviously, not right in certain areas, especially with the back. I think the bowlers, I mean, I've got no problems with the bowling. I mean, I think the bowling was fantastic. Absolutely magnificent. Nokia, Janssen, Ngidi, Rabada, I mean, they all bowled beautifully. I mean, Keshav, he had his moments in the series. I thought he was okay without being, impressive. And obviously, this is where we find ourselves at the moment. The players it's a missed opportunity. I think it's a missed opportunity in that sense, And I mean, congrats to England. I think they came back quite well after that first test. But I think missed opportunity in the sense that you've got two guys that are on the brink of retirement, Anderson and Broad. And you've got some other guys there that are inexperienced, the likes of Leach, the likes of Robinson. At this level, I mean, even a guy like Stokes. I mean, he's an all-rounder, and he looked one of the most threatening bowlers in the series. To be honest with you, Ben Stokes. I mean, the way he swung the ball was amazing. I mean, this was a missed opportunity. I mean, there was a lot of inexperience in that bowling lineup from England. Barring those two experienced guys that are obviously at the almost towards the end of their careers. I mean, if you could see those two out and go after the others, I mean, there was an opportunity. So as Mark Boucher said, it's an opportunity missed in the series, and I agree with him. I think he expected a lot more application from the batsman. We didn't get that.
Yeah. So how do you feel that he's finally stepped down? I know that you weren't a fan of his, so. You feel like he retired on his own terms? Not he retired, but he left.
Look, I'll be honest with you. It's been a mixed sort of 10 years as a coach. I mean, there's been some good performances along the way. Let's not doubt that. However, I don't think he's had his best players at all times in all series, and I think that's affected him. So I don't think Boucher has had his best team consecutively in a series. There's always been some sort of injury that's taken place. So it's been a bit unfortunate. However, I think his record is okay, without being I think outstanding. I think if he had more time, he probably would have stamped his authority on this team. But I think Boucher is a sort of coach that this team needs at the moment. Hey, a sort of guy that is a bit of a straight talker and expects very high standards from his side. So there was a lot of controversy when he was obviously picked, because I mean Graham Smith and him go back years back, and they've got this friendship and stuff. So I hope CSA does it right now, and I hope they appoint they do it right in terms of the appointment, and obviously advertise the position and interview the respective candidates.
Yeah. Question is, who will they go with? Will they go with someone foreigner, or will they give an African guy a chance like Jeffrey Tuyana, or who's someone who will? It'll be interesting to see who they pick for coach this time.
Look, looking at what I'm hearing in the media and stuff, I think Ashwell Prince is probably the favorite for this job at the moment. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He's
also another. I think like another straight talker, but in a nice kind of way. Not a brutal straight talker, more like a mellow straight talker, if that makes sense.
Correct.
So,
look, Jesse Tuyana, I've always been a fan of Tuyana. I think he's been he's done fantastic things at the Lions, and I mean, if he gets a job, I wouldn't mind that at all. So if you look at the candidates, probably the likes of Tuyana, the likes of Ashwell Prince. But seriously, I think this team really needs a batting coach as well, a full-time batting consultant. I think we need experience of the past, and you need to dive into it. And I know Jack Cullis at the moment is really interested in taking the national job. So I think the next best bet for me is probably Ashim Amla. I think we've got to get Amla into this setup and get him into this side, and in terms of a batting consultant, ASAP.
Yeah. Okay, so I know there are 2 upcoming series coming up: Australia to India, and then England to Pakistan. If you look at those series coming up now, what are your thoughts? I know they're going to start the T20s on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, and England and Pakistan will also do the T20s on Wednesday. So let's start with Australia to India. What are your thoughts on the T20? Do you think Australia is going to surprise India, or do you think India is going to win the T20s? I think they're playing the best
I think it's going to be really close. I think
India will take it 2-1. I think they're going to take it 2-1 for the T20s. Yeah, I think 2-1 for India.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few question marks in this Indian side at the moment in terms of their bowling, and I think we saw it in the Asia Cup. So it's a big series for India. However, I don't think it's the be-all and end-all. So I kind of see some experimenting. Trying out some players as well, because I think there is another series before the World Cup. So I think it's all about fine tuning at the moment, trying to get your combinations going. So it's going to be a close series. It's going to be a close, always a close series between Australia and India.
But what's your scoreline? What are you predicting?
I think it's probably going to be 2-1. I think it's going to be one sort of probably one game separating either side. So
so you're not going to pick a team to win.
Yeah, I'll reserve my judgment for now. Hey.
Okay. England and Pakistan play the best of 7 T20s. It's a bit of an overdose, in my opinion. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm gonna go with. This is a toughie. I'll go with Pakistan 4-3.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this, it really is an overdose of T20 cricket, as you say. So yeah, look, it all depends on the selection, and
Mhm.
maybe Babar Azam will get his form back in the series. So yeah, I think Pakistan would probably be favourites at home against England. Having said that, I mean, I know England at this level. They play fearless cricket, so yeah, it's gonna be a humdinger of series.
Any prediction on that one, or you're gonna reserve your judgment again?
Yeah, I'm gonna give my judgment for now. Hey, I think it's too early
Okay.
to
Uh,
make any predictions.
hmm. Hmm. Okay, I was reading this before we wrap off. On our final note, this article I came across on ESPN Cricket Info. They said race to the World Championship final, Australian pole position, India and Pakistan bank on home advantage. I was reading about us here that after we lost to England 2-1, 4 out of 5 matches, our win percentage will be 66.67%, which might not still be enough. And the way I'm looking at it is that it's probably Australia, India, and Pakistan that can make this Test Championship final. I would love to see India and Pakistan final, seriously.
Look, I mean, if you look at this batting lineup at the moment, there needs to be a lot of improvement. I mean, to even think of winning that Test Championship. So, yeah, I think the Proteas have got to do the hard way now. They've got to go to Australia and beat Australia, because I think if they do beat Australia and obviously West Indies at home, you can't really take that for granted as well. Although, you'd back yourself. Then they probably would be in a good situation, and Australia would probably, be looking over their shoulders a bit. But yeah, Pakistan and England is really crucial. It's that series is going to be really crucial. I think for both sides, but sorry, more for Pakistan, because Pakistan is obviously in the running for it. So if England were to upset Pakistan, then I think that would eliminate Pakistan from the race. And you've got Sri Lanka going to New Zealand, which is not going to be easy as well. And if they lose there, that will eliminate them from the race. So I honestly think it's a 3-horse race at the moment, Sid, with Australia, SA, and India, because I think India have got a massive series against Australia as well. Hey.
What about Pakistan? I was thinking it's more of a 3-horse race between India, Pakistan, and Australia. I think South Africa, even if they win those matches, the percentage will go against them for some reason, unless Australia really plays pathetically somehow, and then that's how we'll probably come into it. Although if we beat Australia 3-0, which is unlikely, then it becomes kind of fun and games,
Kind of disappointing, eh? Yeah, look. As I said, the Proteas have got to do it the hard way now. They've got to beat India, Australia. Australia are going to play India away, am I right? Is that the last series?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think they're playing 4 matches in India, I think. I can't remember.
That could really be.
Yeah.
Australia lose.
It says here, It says here, India are in 4th place, by the way. Yeah, India are in 4th place. They play 2 tests against Bangladesh away from home, and then they play Australia 4 tests at home. I think India will have to. It'll depend on what pitches they prepare against Australia also, because I think you can't prepare pitches that are too. I mean, they don't want to make that mistake they did against England, where they prepared such a boring first test match pitch that England somehow won that. And then I think they're going to probably prepare spin-friendly pitches, but not too spin-friendly that it goes against them. Remember that Pune pitch? Australia really beat India at their own game at that. So I think just make it balanced pitches. Just balanced. Yeah, they probably have to go that route. Hello? I guess that's a wrap. Thanks everyone